All right, guys, check it out. There is a new Prius in town. In fact, that's not true. There are two new Priuses. That is, of course, the brand new Toyota Prius Prime, the 5th generation, and there is your new Prius. And in this video, we're going to go through both of these. We're going to tell you all about them. We're going to tell you what we know, what we don't know, and immediately the look of the Prius, well, I mean, look at it. It's, dare I say it, sexy? Is there such a thing as a sexy Prius? And if there is such a thing as a sexy Prius, this has got to be it, because we've gone away from the old stodgy economy car to the, well, some of you thought it was a little too out there with the latest generation, but this 5th generation is really, really something different. So let me know in the comments below what you think about the next generation Prius. And keep in mind that, of course, this vehicle started out as this little tiny, in the 1st generation, economy sedan that was brought over here that quickly became the poster child for hybrids. In fact, this new Prius, and this is a pretty big number, so you ready for it? Gets 57 mpg, or at least up to 57 mpg. And I'm here in California right before the LA Auto Show, and at a time when gas prices are $5 to $6 a gallon, 57 mpg is probably going to start looking pretty good. Now you may be wondering, as in the last generation, is there an all-wheel drive model? And the answer, of course, is yes. It's a 2-motor setup, which means that there's a separate drive unit in the back that's separate from the front. But before we go into all the technical details, let's take a walk through and check out the new Prius, because it is very different. Now, of course, for all of you Prius fans, you'll know that the old Prius had what I would not call a driver-centric display. This one does. Look at that, right in front of the driver. The old one, of course, had a big display across the front. Here we're on to something that's a little bit more traditional. So let me see if I can power this guy up, and we can take a look at what kind of controls. Look at that. Very modern, very slick indeed. And we're looking at not one, but 2 sunroofs. So the backseat passengers also get their own sunroof. And a very modern steering wheel, leather bound, with touch controls. And of course, this being the top of the line model, I'm guessing at that, but I'm sure it is, 1 and 2 settings for your presets. Now, I do love the fact that we're looking at separate buttons for HVAC. I think that's always a big plus, as opposed to having things incorporated into the screen. There is more or less a traditional gear selector with an EV mode. Now, this Prius gets almost 200 horsepower. Yeah, that's right, almost 200 horsepower. Can you believe it? And still 57 mpg. And that's a big number. And the number that that one gets is even bigger. So 196 horsepower under the hood of this guy. And over here we have a charger, which is nice for your phone. And keep in mind, this is my first time in the car, so I've gotten a half hour here to kind of check this out. So we're figuring this out together. Now, in terms of size, it is about the same size as the outgoing model, so there isn't much difference. A steering wheel that you can adjust, which is nice. Here you have automatic headlights, a heated steering wheel, cameras. Let's check those out. So this view is unavailable. Okay, it's not available. I wonder why that is. Enable the intuitive parking assist, and I don't know where that button is. So like I said, we're discovering this together. So some of the things are probably not going to be that intuitive for me. You have 2 USB-C ports right there, 2 cup holders, and let's see how much storage. A good amount of storage, and look at that, 2 more USB-Cs. How nice is that? And then, of course, over here, your telephone, your instrumentation, adaptive cruise control right there, and lane centering, or is it lane keep, and Toyota. I'm sure this has Safety Sense 2.0, which means that you're going to get all of the safety features, including blindside monitoring, autonomous braking, rear autonomous braking, and I did a video talking about that recently, and some of you guys said, well, I don't like all that autonomy, and I'm like, hey, if I put my family in here, I want this thing to be as safe as possible. We're looking at both, check this out, heated and I'm going to go vented seats, which is nice, and I do love this steering wheel. The engine just turned on, so it is a typical hybrid. Let's look in the back seat and see if I fit. Let's check out the back. Got this little hidden door handle right there. Now I am sitting actually behind myself, and that is kind of where I would have my feet. Keep in mind I'm pretty tall at 6'2". So let's look at headroom. It's a little tight back here, but they do give you a sunshade, which is really nice. And if you're not, hugely tall, you have a lot of legroom in the passenger seat. With me having my seat all the way back, not so much back here. 4 handholds, which is nice, and very comfortable seat. I can certainly, sit back here if we're going to lunch. I think for tall people, it might be a little small for a road trip. Now let's look at the back. See how much space there is back here. We'll pop it open. Oh, dual cameras, look at that. Yeah, it's a good amount of space. Prius has always been kind of the hybrid Swiss Army knife, and it continues to be so, making it both a vehicle that you can use to commute, that you can use to Uber or Lyft, or that you can use as a road trip vehicle, because it's just, like I said, the hybrid Swiss Army knife of the Toyota family, and this one continues to do that. Now here you have this new badging that Toyota is introducing, HEV of course, as opposed to a BEV. A BEV would be a battery electric vehicle. This is a hybrid electric vehicle, and we don't have all the specs yet, so we don't know exactly how much battery, we don't know everything, but we do know that if you want this car, it's going to be available at the start of 2023, and we're going to go drive it pretty soon. Now the one that you guys might be even more interested in is this one. Yep, this is the battery electric plug-in vehicle, so that's why there's a plug over there. And Toyota says that this will get anywhere from between 35 to 40 miles of pure electric range, making it, of course, the prime. Now, this is the XSE model, as you can tell. I love this color; it's really cool. These kind of earth tony colors have become really popular, and I do really enjoy them. They're really nice. Now, of course, this being the top of the line prime vehicle, this is going to be the one that's going to be, I fear, unobtainium, because 35 to 40 miles of range is about the average commute of your average American. So potentially this vehicle could be used to drive to work and home, plug it in home at night, and never actually turn on the gasoline engine if you don't need it, or if you do need it, you'll have it. Now, one of the crazy things about this Prius is it's got a 220 horsepower output. That's right, 220 horsepower. Not that long ago, that would have been in performance car territory, but now we're looking at an economy, high efficiency car with 220 horsepower. And Toyota says, get this, it'll do 0 to 60 in 6.5 seconds. Wow. Yeah, just wow, a Prius in 6.5 seconds. I never thought I'd live to see the day, but that's the brave new world we're living in. And of course, there is your power plant, in case you're wondering what that looks like. A lot going on there. To get 6.5 seconds of acceleration out of, in this case, a front-wheel drive car is pretty interesting. Now, one of the more unique features of this car, of course, is right there. The top models get solar panels. And I gotta tell you, that's one of the questions we always get. Why don't electric cars have solar panels to charge up the battery? And the answer is relatively simple. This is probably the biggest, outside of the Fisker, the biggest solar panel I've seen on a new car. And even with this size of solar panel, it's basically used to charge up the 12 volt, trickle charge the 12 volt, and not power up the big battery, because I think sometimes we don't quite wrap our minds around just how much let's say, a 100 kilowatt hour battery is, and how long it would take to charge up a 100 kilowatt hour battery if you were using a solar panel of this size. But this one does charge up to 12 volt, which can do things then like, of course, run the accessories in here, perhaps run a fan if it's hot outside to cool it off. And so it is nice to see an electric vehicle, albeit a plug-in electric vehicle with a giant solar battery. I wonder what it looks like underneath here. You can't tell. That's a pretty cool light. Look at that. A lot of interesting design going on there. Now, in terms of plugs, see one over here. I suspect that is probably the one. Well, we can find out what that one is for. Let's do this. That's the gas one. Yep, that's where you pour the gas. So that is on the driver's side, and let's find out where you plug it in. With the charger being over there, I suspect it's probably on the other side. So let's go over here. Yep, it's right here. So that's where you plug it in. Now this vehicle will be available spring of 2023, so that one is coming first. This one is coming second, and we will be going on a first drive with this vehicle really soon. So we will have more information in terms of cost and in terms of hard numbers very soon. But we do know, like I say, 35 to 40 miles of pure electric range on the standard one, up to 57 mpg, which is pretty incredible for a car with 194, I believe, horsepower. Let me see if I can turn the lights on and I'll show you something really cool. This is I'm calling it the elongated C. I think Toyota calls it the bullnose, but this is their new design language. As you can tell, it's kind of I call it a kind of elongated. You can see it right there, an elongated C, with the headlights being right there, and I think it looks good. I like it. It's got kind of a brow to it, which makes it look mean and purposeful, and in some ways, dare I say it, angry. Yep, angry. Who would have thunk? An angry Prius, huh? And for all of you cold weather types, like I said, this is available in an all-wheel drive. And of course, the problem with the all-wheel drive one in the current generation was that I think it worked up to 25 miles, if I remember right, and it didn't provide a heck of a lot of power because it was a dual motor unit. I just talked to the Toyota guys, and they said they'll give us more information on the first drive, but that they've made it much better as an all-wheel drive vehicle. And coming from Colorado, that is music to my ears. Well, there you have it, guys. Let me know in the comments below what you think of the new Prius and the new Prius Prime. Is this something that will be on your shopping list for 2023? Do you like the interior? I love the interior. I love the fact that we still have traditional switches. So for instance, I know exactly where to turn on the headlights. We have traditional stalks, and you don't have to reinvent the entire wheel to get behind the wheel. Plastic's a little hard, but not too bad, a little soft. But in general, I think if you like Toyotas and you're a Toyota family, you will feel right at home with either of these two Priuses. And it's just much more, in some ways, mainstream, and I would even say athletic. As always, this is Roman saying thanks for watching. That's the one I'm really looking forward to driving, especially from 0 to 60. And remember, go to alltfl.com to check out the latest and greatest in new car reviews. See you guys next time. Ciao.